Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with a Vet. My name is Carolee, and I have a great guest waiting in the wings this evening. But before we get to him, I wanted to talk a little bit about Mind Over Land. So I know you've heard me talk about that particular nonprofit. We're coming up pretty close here now. We're into August. So we've got 2 months before Veterans Day weekend. They're going to be doing it's going to be the second annual Mind Overland camping trip, and that's going to be in the Bitterroot Mountains. So it is the families of veterans are invited, as well as the supporters of veterans. So they always do some great things. They have raffles and giveaways, and it is their biggest fundraiser. And if you haven't checked them out, you can go to mindoverland.org. They take 15 veterans on 6 different trips throughout the year outside of their Veterans Day event. And they pay for everything, their food, their gas, etc. And usually it's several hundred miles that they traverse. So take a look if you're interested. You still have time. It is free to go. You just have to register so that they have a head count, so they know how many people they're expecting. So without further ado, please help me welcome Richard Acton. Hello, hello.
Hello again.
How are you today, Richard?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's actually been a nice day, so it's a good relaxing time to be able to get out here and talk with you and share some of our history.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And, I got to know you and your wife, what was it, last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, really excited. And it was really interesting how we kind of stumbled upon each other. So I'm finding that this little town that we're in has a lot of veteran families.
Oh, yeah.
And that's really exciting to me. We went to Walmart yesterday, and my husband was wearing a Mind Over Land t-shirt. And he was asked because a lady was walking by and couldn't quite read the shirt. So it turned out she is a spouse of a veteran. So really interesting. So
there's a lot of them around here.
There are. So I want to thank everybody who's popping up out there. I see you. Feel free to jump into the chats and say hello. Richard, I like to start off by talking about or asking you, who was Richard Acton as a
child? As a child. Depends on who you ask.
I'm asking you. Who do you think you were as a child?
I was shy but outspoken. And the reason I say that, I had no problem speaking with people, but I was extremely shy to move forward in those friendships and those relationships because I didn't really know. I didn't have a lot of social interaction except for church and stuff like that. And those were mainly my friends and stuff from church. And
yeah.
So, and I moved high schools at the end of my freshman year. And so I had to build new friends and things like that. So, yeah.
Did you like school?
Did I like school?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
So not a studious individual.
No, well, I was studious. I didn't like school because come to find out later on in life, I'm dyslexic. And so I had a hard time reading and understanding things as I was going through school. And when individuals would, correct me and say, you need to do it this way or that way, it caused a lot of confusion with me. So I rebelled because I didn't know. There was times I'd do math problems and I turn in a blank sheet of work paper and they're like, how did you do this? Well, I did it in my head. Well, no, you got to show the formula. I can't show the formula because I don't know how I did it. So yeah. I love to read. I read all the time now. And I have learned to adapt to my, I don't want to call it a disability, but my learning habits have changed. So yeah, it was hard for me in high school, even though I was a BC student at best. I could have done better if my mom she tried to she take me to Sylvan Learning Center and all these other places, and they
Yes.
said, well, he's just lazy, he's extremely smart, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't, I just didn't know how to explain who I was, and so yeah, it was pretty difficult in high school.
Did you do any sports while you were in high school?
I did. I played basketball, and then the school before my first school in freshman year, I went out for football, stuff like that. But when I got transferred out and went to a private school, I ended up going playing basketball. That's all they had at the time. Yeah.
Okay. So you were kind of unbeknownst to yourself prepping yourself for your career, huh?
Well, no, it wasn't unbeknownst. I knew probably from elementary school that I wanted to be a Marine.
Oh,
Um,
wow, that early.
oh yeah,
What made you decide Marine specifically?
my dad, Ronnie Acton. I was adopted when I was 5, and I, like any kid, I would snoop around, their closet whenever they weren't home, and I found some shoe boxes with pictures and stuff in it, with him and everything. And I remember sitting in the floor in the hallway. We had a nice wooden floor, and I'd be wearing a military helmet with a green jacket and playing with the little green army men, and what are you doing? I'm playing Marines, so yeah, it was always Marine for me. I didn't really know a lot about the Marine Corps, but I just knew that, my dad did it, and I wanted to honor him, and if he made it through there, I wanted to do it too. So
Wonderful. So tell me a little bit about for you what it was like, specifically the Marine Corps, of course, their yellow footprints, right? What was it like for you when you got off the bus there at your
um,
destination?
the honestly tell you, I don't remember very much. It was all I remember was being told to look ahead, keep your eyes straight, don't look at me, and so we got off pretty quick. Of course, it was dark. It's always dark when you get off
Oh,
on the
yeah, for
bus.
sure.
And so and then because where I was standing, I went up there and I had to hold the door open for everybody to go in, and it was so that's really the only thing I really remember is watching everybody walk by me as they were going in. And at the time, I didn't know what it was, but later on, I realized I felt this like nervousness, but it was like a pride thing. Look at all these guys coming in, and there really wasn't that a lot. There wasn't a lot in our group back then, and so there was probably only 40 or something like that came in with me, and it was just, I don't know, I was in awe at the whole doors and walking in, and yeah, it was pretty neat.
Wonderful. So tell me what it was like in boot camp. Any funny stories you have?
That I can share. uh,
This
yeah,
is your platform, so you can say whatever you care to say, however you care to say
we'll keep it censored. That's all.
it. Okay. All right.
um, yeah, it's. I met a lot of good people while I was there. I met a set of twins. We always call them dark greens, and light greens. So the dark green twins they were from the hood,
Oh.
um, and they had the brandings and everything else, and they were from the hood, and it was funny though. My my background, there just wasn't a lot of that culture around where I lived. So meeting a lot of different nationalities and different people, um, come to find out that they weren't that bad. I mean, yeah, they were raised up and they had to survive doing certain things, but as an individual, I found out that, they were just like me. They were trying to survive in their environment. And yeah, so it was pretty interesting to get to know a lot of different people in a short amount of time. So yeah.
Did you ever get in trouble while you were in boot camp?
Um, yeah, there was a couple times that I've had to be corrected because I'm um, my dad was really strict when I was growing up, and my mom was too. And I understand their disciplinary acts and stuff, but I was also, like I said, going through things myself and being rebellious. And so there was a time or two where I might have talked back to my little bitty drill instructor. I mean, he was like to hear, and so you just don't find out real quick. You don't talk back to the short ones. That's all I can say. And he was. I mean, he was a great man. He really was, and he was very polite. And I had to do it by looking back because at the time I was just sitting there, straight ahead, and and I was like whatever, and it just kind of slipped out, and then the next thing I know, you got this bill hitting you right there in the chin, and he's yelling at you, and you're like, uh-oh, it's about to hit the fan.
He's yelling at your throat.
Yeah, he's yelling at my throat. Like, and it was actually pretty funny. But they were. We were actually the bad platoon because we ended up having to get another drill instructor throughout. I know he was training, and they had put him in later on during our training cycles. But we were always called the bad platoon because we had the 5 drill instructors and everybody else had the 4. So it was pretty bad.
Nobody wanted to be there.
Yeah, nobody wanted to be there. It was, they've always got somebody watching them. So, but yeah, it was pretty fun. And the reason I say fun, I think I was lucky to have it in a stern home life. And like I said, this is all looking back on it. At the time I was probably, more hoping that I didn't piss my pants, for lack of a better terminology. But it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be, physically. Let me clarify that physically, because I was in the MEPS program and everything else, and so every weekend I was going to the recruiter's office doing pull-ups, my recruiter had me out training.
The delayed entry program, is that what it was back then?
Yeah, I was in the delayed
it still
entry.
is. Yep.
And so I was the pulley during that time, and but what really hit me was the psychological, mental portion of it. And
How's
that
that?
was, that hit me really hard, real quick. Because if you don't know what mistakes you have made, they will tell you immediately that you always make mistakes and you are always wrong. So I had to completely relearn everything that I thought I knew.
Was it strange having to talk about yourself in the first person or the third person? This recruit. Did you have to do that?
Yeah, I had to do that. To me, it wasn't. It was kind of like just following the orders, because you learn real quick if you don't do it, you're in the sand pit, and you don't want to be dug. Yeah, you don't want to be dug and out there having to do push-ups and sit-ups and butterfly kicks and everything else, just because you forgot to say this recruit. So that was a pretty easy one to remember. The hardest one was I had to learn the hard way of pounding on the door to ask for permission. They had the little handprint on the side of the door, and and it was outlined, and you had to slap the side of the drill instructor's door to request permission. And there was a couple times I think I forgot to slap the door and request for permission, and they would correct you promptly.
So what year did you go into boot camp?
92. I'm a baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was your MOS?
0311.
Okay.
I got it the hard way. Yeah.
So tell me about graduation. Was your family there? Were they able to make it?
Yes. It was actually, to me, it was very, I'm not saying that I was prideful, but it's like it made you walk taller. My dad owned his own business. He was always busy. It's not that he didn't care about us or didn't love us or whatever, but his objective in life was to move forward and provide us a house and home. So he wasn't always present for the basketball games or or, all the different things. He was there like with prom night. I sent you some pictures and stuff, and he
Mhm.
was there for prom night to make sure that I got off. But he wasn't there every day, like, at the football games or the baseball games or the basketball games. But to see him at graduation and to see that we both had a common, uh, I don't know what the word should be, but it's not. We both had something in common in our lives that we can be proud of. Say it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Because he walked across those same footprints, went through that same door. He went to that same rifle range. He went to that same. Yeah, there you go. That's the birth control glasses right there. Yeah, and
And
we had that in common. So it was very prideful, and I think it built a relationship with us, even though there were some other things in our lives that we struggled with. I think that camaraderie between me and him is something that we'll never lose, even though we might disagree on other things in life. So,
right, right. So tell me about the next phase that you had to go through after boot
well,
camp.
well, it was kind of funny. I say 0311. I was not intentionally going in as an 0311. I
And
had
for those who are not sure, who are just joining us and are not sure, an
uh,
0311 in the Marine Corps is,
infantryman. So
there you go.
he's just a man that carries a rifle and gets pointed in a direction to go. So yeah, in that it was never my intent to do that. I had taken the ASVAB and all that, and I was intentionally going to go in as military intelligence is what I wanted to go in as. Well, my dad had a rule in his house that as a senior that just graduated and just got back from his senior trip, I had 3 months before I went to boot camp, and he told me I needed to get a job. And I said, well, I'm not going to get a job. And he said, well, if you're going to stay in this house, you're going to have a job. And I was like, well, okay. So the next day, my recruiter came down and we went to boot camp. And
Wow.
yeah, my recruiter did not inform me that if you leave early, that you now become an open billet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the way the schools are set up and the way you go to boot camp, uh, you have to fall into they only allow so many months or so many weeks in between boot camp and the time you go to your school to actually have vacation and you go back and see your family and stuff like that.
Right.
And mine was too big of a window span for me to actually, be military intelligence. And I didn't realize that until they started calling out orders and said, Acton, PFC Acton, 0311. And I'm like, whoa, no, that's not what I am. They said, oh, that's what you are. Here's your orders. So yeah, I got shafted early on.
Well, at least you kind of know from there on,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
tell
it was
me,
it's a new onset. Yeah.
tell me what it was like for you while you were waiting in holding. Were you waiting long?
No, I came in. I got off the got off the plane. They walked me. I mean, within minutes, they walked me straight to the bus, and the bus went straight to Paris Island. And we were maybe in holding for just long enough to get our uniform and our sea bags and everything, and then they put us in. I mean, so I didn't wait.
What about when you went to? Did you go to MCT?
I went to MCT, but I came home in between, and they extended my leave for another week. So I did recruiter's duty for
Mm-hmm.
that time frame.
Yep.
And so when I got done with recruiter's duty, my check-in day was the next day. So I didn't have any wait time. Luckily, I
Oh,
was able
good.
to. Yeah, I didn't have any wait time in that, which was good because a lot of the guys, you could already tell they were bored sitting around not doing anything. So
Yes. That's kind of the rumor I get from
yeah,
those. And
yeah,
some have been stuck in holding for at least a month.
yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Depends on when they get picked up for their class,
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So how was MCT for you?
Um, it was personally, I found a different level because I like to hunt with my uncle. Whenever I was younger, we'd go out Colmont Road and go hunting and shooting guns and stuff. And Mom and Dad, if you're listening to this, I know you didn't know about it. So it was Kurt. So in that, I saw a different side and started to see the side of the need for stealth, the requirements that were needed to why you had to position yourself certain ways and why they built us up to work as a team, you know. And, I learned a lot of things. I learned that I couldn't sit there for long periods of time without moving. And I had to learn how I had to adjust and train my body to do that. And I think that was probably the hardest thing I had to do was, when you're sitting there for a 2-hour fire watch and your other guy's over there snoring and you're sitting in a foxhole, I know it's just, blanks and everything else, but, you're having to watch and it's different when you're playing war and you're actually in war.
Right. But, you're not that little kid anymore in the hallway.
And so it was interesting on how I had to personally fight my personal desire where it's just, I want to lay down and go to sleep. I'm not saying that I didn't a couple of times, but it was something I had to learn to fight. But yeah, it was, I've always liked that type of stuff. So learning new traits, new things to do, new tactics. And it was just something I wanted to do because I wanted the Marine Corps to be my career.
Excellent. Yeah. So from MCT, where did you go?
MCT, I went straight to 2-2 and
2-2?
2nd Marine Division.
2-2. I'm just picturing a ballerina.
That's a whole different story, and we can talk about that later.
Sorry.
Yeah, not 4-4, 2-2. Yeah. We got there. The only thing I can really remember is being shoved into supply, and everybody and they're throwing stuff at you and trying to make you check off a checklist. And of course, you didn't have time to check anything. And if you ask about a piece of equipment that had a hole in it, it wasn't their problem. It's yours now. So they sign you off on it and throw you out.
Nice. So if you return it back with a hole.
Yeah, exactly. If you return it back. Right. So you had to do a lot of sewing or prep. But yeah, the unit I got attached to was getting ready to get deployed anyway. And so we were fillers as we came in. And that's what we came in as fillers. So I think it was maybe 5 weeks, 6 weeks, if I recall correctly, as we came in and we got with the platoon, started learning who our squad leaders were, who our platoon sergeants were. And then 6 weeks later, we were being shipped over to Japan. So, yeah.
Wow. And was that Okinawa or?
Yeah, Okinawa. Yeah, Camp Swab. Yeah.
Camp Swab. So did you just do training there? What?
Yeah, we did jungle training up in NTA, the northern training area. We did a nice, beautiful, slow hike back from NTA to Camp Swab. So, yeah. Yeah, Staff Sergeant Arnold, if you're out there, it was beautiful. It was so sweet. Yeah. But we had to do it at night because you couldn't hike on the main road during the day because of traffic and stuff. So you had to hike at night and stuff. But I really enjoyed that stuff. It was the rock climbing. It was the rappelling off the mountain. It was going into the water and going underneath, barriers and things like that. And learning to work together as a team. It was pretty fun. You found your cliques, and there was, there's always a clique no matter where you go, mainly because of your culture. You have things in common with this person and you don't with this one. And,
yes.
So yeah, it's, it was
how long were you in Okinawa?
We were at Swab, 4 months. Then we went to Fuji, went to Mount Fuji, and did some training up there on top of the mountain and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Good old, see, that's it. And so, yeah, it was, everybody had to go through the cold weather training and stuff like that. We did have some fun. We had You're not supposed to urinate or piss on the zippers of your buddies, but when it's negative degrees outside and you want to mess with them, so everybody
Oh
be running.
no!
Yeah.
Oh
So
no!
we had fun while we're up there, and we're trying to see people get up in the morning trying to undo their zipper, and they can't because it's frozen shut, or you turn their snowshoes right side up where their shackles and everything are frozen, and they can't. Oh yeah, there was some goofing off, but it was that was what I liked about it, the camaraderie. When it came time to be serious, we were serious, but there was a lot of playing around. There really was.
To keep your sanity, right?
Yeah, we had to. Yeah.
From how long were you in Okinawa?
I think it was 6 weeks, and then we went back to Swab, and then we got ready to pack up, do your inspections and all that, and get ready to come back to the States. So yeah.
Okay, and then once you hit the States, where did you go?
Went back home for a week, and ended up. That's where I met my first wife on the way on the trip home. One of my buddies from high school, his sister, kept following us around, and so I ended up meeting her when I was home. And all I can say is, if it's not issued to you when you get in the Marine Corps, don't bring it with you.
Oh my gosh! So
I love my kids. That's all I'm saying. I love my kids.
Little words of wisdom from one Marine to another, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay. And then from how long were you home for?
Just week. We came back, started training again. 29 Palms. We went to Fort Sherman, Panama, down in Panama. It's down at the canal. We were one of the last Marine Corps units to actually train there before they closed Fort Sherman as a jungle school. It was the Army jungle school during Vietnam, where they trained pilots and everybody to go in and out of the jungle. That was their training facility. So we went down there, trained. Extremely difficult land nav course. It's interesting how triple canopy works when you're going in there. So I do have a small understanding of how the Vietnam vets had to maneuver through the jungle, and but I give them props. They did well. That's all I can say with that.
How different was it from Panama and Okinawa?
Night and day. Yeah,
really?
Literally. Yeah, literally night and day. The humidity, the animals, the wildlife that you have, the type of water that you have. It's amazing. If your boots got wet in Okinawa, they dry out pretty quick. If you're down there in Panama, they didn't dry out until you got back to the barracks. That was about it.
Wow. You
had to change your socks and shoes when you got back. But yeah, they don't. So it's amazing just the location. And I mean, that's one of the reasons that the Marine Corps and the Army all have training facilities all over the world is, if you don't train in that environment, you can assume all day long. But right. Yeah, it makes a huge difference in the environment itself. Yeah.
And then from Panama, where did you go?
Came back from Panama, ended up having back surgery while I was in the Marine Corps. So I got TAD, a temporary assigned duty, and I was an audio video tech.
Really?
Yeah. So I had to, while my back was coming under recovery and I was trying to get back, because I couldn't do any sit-ups or anything like that. So I couldn't take a PFT or anything like that. So ended up doing my surgery, recovering, and doing some videos. I think I was there for maybe 3 months, and then came back and we went to Haiti, and we got deployed down to Haiti. If I can remember the dates, if any of you on there that served with me, let me know, because I cannot remember the dates correctly, but I do know we went down to Haiti and when it was. But we went down there to we were at Camp Haïtia, and the Army was down at Port-au-Prince. So we were up stationed at Camp Haïtia, living in a mont. Yeah, there you go.
I know that's kind of a hard picture to see, but
I'm the third one from the front from the right. on the bottom right.
Right here.
Third one sitting there with my arms wrapped around my knees, saying, "Okay, this is going to be fun."
And this was in Haiti.
That was in Haiti, yeah.
Okay.
And so we stayed in a monastery there, which was actually pretty nice. But there was a lot of, you know, culturally and mission wise, a lot of things were different because my grandmother and family always raised me, if you have the ability to help somebody weaker than you, help them, you know. And there was a lot of things. Some of you got, you know, some of you guys have seen it. It's been overseas. You know, you see things that you cannot address, no matter how bad you want to. And so morally, it takes a toll on you, more than you would think in the long run, because you're like, oh, well, I know I can help them if I just do this, but there's consequences for it and stuff like that if you did. So you have to stand your post, do what you're supposed to do. And if you see somebody out there getting injured, and they seek help, all you can do is point them to the nearest medical department that's close to them, or medical, you know, facility, or Red Cross or whatever. So yeah, some of that does take a toll mentally, because everybody has a kind heart, no matter how rough you are. You don't want to see innocent people injured,
Right.
you know. So yeah, that was one of the biggest things that I've learned when I was in Haiti. Yeah.
And how long were you there for?
I can't remember, a few weeks. We were there for a few weeks before we got into one of our squads got into a big firefight, and
In Haiti?
oh yeah, yeah. It was our platoon. We had a patrol. We had a squad out on patrol, and they ended up. Some of the local law enforcement didn't feel comfortable with our presence, and things happened, and so yeah. So when it's it wasn't anything that we did. It was just that there's so much, you know, it's like politics. There's just so much confusion when they're trying to change leadership and stuff like that, that sometimes we got into the middle of it. And we did, and we ended up taking care of business in the process. But yeah, so it was pretty, I hate to say that it was funny, but when you see 300, 400 people run the opposite direction and they leave their shoes behind, it's pretty funny. Yeah.
Okay, so you come back from Haiti. What happens next for you?
More training. Then we ended up going to a med float. We did a med float, and while we were over there, we got called in to assist in the Kosovo and some other things that was going on over there. We got deployed there. We had one of our units, our platoon, got shipped over there to help with that. Then our whole company got sent to Liberia, right there at the embassy. We were trying to pull out the ambassador and stuff like that. So during that time frame, we pulled him out and his family and things of that nature, and secured it while they, you know, did what they needed to do to, you know, declutter the embassy at the time and secure what needed to be secured.
I can only imagine how difficult that is, trying to, because you don't know what's around the corner or how long you really have.
Well, yeah, it's pretty funny. It was a couple of my buddies, Whitehead and I, we had a little running joke. There was a lot of rats in the area. And so, yeah, so we would, you know, you'd stab them with your knife and stuff, and you'd throw them over the wall and things like that. So we all, again, it didn't matter where we were at. We were always having fun. But I remember flying in, we're coming into the helo, and you can hear these little ting, 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 tings on the outside of the helicopter. And so as we were coming in, we were flying in, and they opened up the back hatch, and we got out, and you still hear the ting, 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 ting hitting them. And we were like, let's go. And we had already been in a couple of skirmishes already. So to us, it wasn't that big of a deal. But you had some people, they were squatting down, you know, trying to run over. And but we were yelling, if you can hear it, it's not for you. We just keep running. So yeah, but you can still make fun of that too. Yeah, a Marine's humor and an Army man's humor and a soldier's humor is always based off their previous environments, and so sometimes you do have to make it humorous. So yeah,
Yeah, it gets you through it, right?
yeah, it
And
does.
keeps your morale up.
Yeah, it does.
So, um, how long were you in Kosovo then?
Um, we were in Kosovo.
How long?
Uh, so when we came back from that deployment, uh, I was had like 2 weeks to get out because I wanted to extend and reenlist, and so in that when I came back, I was either going to reenlist or get out. And at the time, my wife was like, "Me or the Corps," you know. And I should have listened. She wasn't issued. I should have stayed in, but I didn't, and I got out. So yeah,
What year did you get out?
97. Yeah,
97.
97. Yeah, I
Okay.
extended for a float to go overseas. Yeah.
And what did they provide you? Did the Marine Corps provide you with resources on how to transition back into civilian life? Did you have
Um,
anything in place?
Now they did have stuff in place, but the biggest problem was accessing it. Like I said, when I got off ship, I only had 2 weeks to my EAS,
Right.
and so I had to turn in my gear. I had to get everything, all my paperwork and everything transitioned. And so by the time I got out of S1 and over to S3 or S2, and I was in and out of the S office for the whole 2 weeks. So there wasn't really that much of time for me to transition and ask for that. So yeah, it was available. I just was not able to benefit from that.
Right, right. Um, as of today,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Um,
Since you've been out, what have you been doing? What have you been up to?
well, I got out of the Marine Corps and wanted to turn around and go back in after the divorce. But come to find out, being a corporal with 4 kids back in, 99, you just, they have a policy about how many dependents you can have. And so, yeah, it's based off your pay scale, which it's legitimate. I mean, you don't want somebody having 7 kids on a Lance Corporal pay, because there's just no way to actually benefit, the family. So my ex-wife was asked numerous. I was actually at Arnold's Air Force Base getting ready to come back in, and the colonel came out and told me that my ex-wife wouldn't sign the paperwork. They sent recruiters to her house and everything. She wouldn't sign the paperwork to turn over my rights so that I could reenlist. And so I didn't go back in the Marine Corps. I tried, but the Guard will take you.
So did you go that route?
Yeah, I ended up going. Yeah, we went through the State Guard and stuff, and that's where I met a lot of people that I know now. And I started doing a lot of work with nonprofits, from Swift Water Dive to volunteer military groups and things of that nature. Like the Royal Out Airborne, they deal a lot with the Laotian family and friends that have deployed. That's General Howard. She was the Air Force Guard commander. That's when I was a warrant officer. And she had just got promoted 3 days earlier, and we were on a C-130 doing some medvac training for the Air National Guard. So yeah,
Nice, very nice.
And but yeah, it's amazing. You still have a desire to serve no matter what branch you're in or where you're at. I've had a lot of friends of mine that served with me get out. I had one get out of the Marine Corps and turned around and became an officer in the Army and flew Black Hawks until he retired.
Wow.
Yeah. So then I had one Whitehead. He ended up retiring from the Marine Corps. Had a couple of friends that retired directly from the Marine Corps, and I had one that served to help me out during one of my son's needs during Paris Island. He was actually the base commander at the time. So we, you build rapport and relationships with people that, last you everywhere. And that's where I'm at now is, I'm at that stage where I want to be able to help nonprofits and other companies and other groups help veterans. Because we're right now, I'm honest with every veteran or anybody that goes in about what you're going to find. Recruiters have a goal, but you've got to tell everybody going in what's going to happen. But you also have to tell them when they come out what's going to happen.
Yes.
And so that's what I do right now. I do have my own nonprofit, but right now
what's it called?
That's a special services detachment. But
your nonprofit?
That's my nonprofit.
Okay.
And we do a lot of search and rescue, and we work with the Royal Out Airborne, and that is another nonprofit. I'm with the Marine Corps League in our area, and the VFW, and you've got the American Legion and everybody. Right now, we're communicating and talking with all the different, nonprofits, and what we're trying to do is gather assets, gather people together, because we have so many people in our community that don't know anything about how to get certain things done, or they were always told that they can get help, but they don't know how to get help. But the biggest problem is too, these nonprofits don't communicate. So there's some things that, like the Marine Corps League is specifically set aside for Marines and FMF Navy personnel. But if we're in relationships with somebody from the Army or the Air Force, we should have means to communicate with the VFW or the American Legion, or if, disabled veterans or whoever, we can communicate with and get them linked in. And we don't need to leave it just to the government to try to make those assessments. So that's what my goal is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good goal.
Yeah. And it's kind of hard because everybody has their own budget. Everybody wants to raise their own money. But it's not about the money. It's not about, the budget. What it's about is, if you can't do it, there's no sense in letting that individual go without getting the help they need. And somebody out there does have the money, and somebody out there does have the budget to do it. And we just got to work together and communicate together.
Yes.
And there's a lot of them too. I think you're getting ready to go to one that, helps a lot of them just to have fun,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So like the RLA, the Royal Out Airborne, they actually have foreign jump wings. They do like friendship jumps and things like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you can go, different, if you're active duty or, in with a guard, or if you're in with the reserves or whatever, you can go get your jump wings. So there's it's not all about medical problems or anything like that. It's about, we did certain things when we were in the Marine Corps or in the service that, like I said, we worked hard, we played hard. And so there's a lot of working hard and telling people what they've got to do, but there's not as much playing hard, and that's where,
right.
That's one of the things we have to bring together. And that's the goal that we have, is to bring individuals together so that you can sit over and get your medical stuff done. But you know what? Okay, sad that you lost your legs, but let's go put you in a parachute and push you out of a plane, and you'll be amazed how many people want to do it.
And, no, I can only imagine. I mean,
yeah, and they can't run away from you, so that's pretty good. So, yeah.
Oh, goodness. Military, those veterans, I can only imagine, right? They have that adrenaline rush anyway. So given any opportunity to jump out of a plane, I can only imagine that's it's
on everybody's bucket list,
Yes. So, okay. And what else do you have going on?
Well, me personally, not much. I'm recovering from a surgery that I had. So like I said, my biggest focus right now is communicating and trying to draw in nonprofit organizations. Because I found out something early on, and I use this term loosely, end of life for nonprofits. One of the biggest things is all these veteran-owned nonprofits are great, but if your focus is just for Vietnam era, that's good. That's helping them out. But what is going to be the end of life of that nonprofit? You
Right.
know, in 40 years, all Vietnam vets, sad to say, will be deceased. That's just the numbers, and this is the way it works. In 50 years for me, everybody that served with me will more likely be deceased. So how do we transition that nonprofit into an end of life transitioning, which is to pass it along to someone else to use and benefit them in the future? And I've seen so many nonprofits here in the last couple of years, their numbers start going down, their finances start going down, and it's because of that mentality there. It's just, we set it up this way, this is the way it's going to be, but they're not looking at end of life of their nonprofit.
Right.
And so we're trying to take the opportunity right now and look at all the aspects of these nonprofits and find out how we can pass that onto a generational inheritance to someone else. So that's why I say it's an end of life for the nonprofit. Everybody has to look at it. It doesn't matter who you are in life. Sooner or later, willingly or unwillingly, you're going to have to face that fact. We pray that you're right with the Lord in the process of that, and you know Him as your Lord and Savior. But until then, let's make sure that that we can pass this on to somebody that can benefit from it. We have so
and
many,
it can continue to be benefited from.
right? Like your children, like when we were talking about the other day. That you've got this aspect of what can they do, where can they go, and all they see is 70 and 80-year-old men sitting out underneath the tent somewhere. Well, what can I do with that? And how's that going to help me? There's always wisdom there in your elders.
Yes.
And so there's that aspect of it, but we have to learn to transition it. Learn to transition the wisdom into the new younger group so that they can pick up where we're leaving off. Right. Otherwise, you're just, your house is going to be that house down the road that has all the windows broken out by the neighborhood kids and nobody's living in it for 20 years and your bricks falling off your fireplace, man. Yeah.
So talking about younger generation,
yes.
I'm going to add, it's going to be very small, but here, that is really small. I don't know if I can make that any bigger.
I wish I could.
I don't think I can. That is really a small picture. So this is you and your son.
Yeah.
And this is his graduation, correct?
Yeah, that is his graduation day. That was the day he decided to run off base.
He's like, I'm out.
Yeah, that was it right there.
Yes. So he followed in your footprints and actual footprints. Let's see, where did that go? Oh, I had it. Now I can't find it. Oh, yep, here it is. Hang on. We'll put that one up. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love the title on that, 26 years and 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
So, and it's interesting too, where you remember where you stood, right?
Yes. If you forget
even in all the pandemonium.
Yeah. Even in all the pandemonium, you still remember where they put you when you got off the bus.
Yes. So words of wisdom for anybody interested in joining the military in general. What do you have?
What you fear, you empower.
Say that again.
What you fear, you empower.
There you go.
Yeah, I came up with that. The Lord gave it to me back in '99 when I was going through all the stuff with trying to get back into the Marine Corps. If you see a snake on a walking path and you're scared of that snake, every decision you make at that point would be based off that snake, not your mission or your path. So in that, we have to learn that even though things come into our life, we see things, you might be nervous about it. You be scared of it. Just like within the military, volunteer for everything you can. Get educated. Take all the classes you can. If you got downtime, see what you can do with classes online. It doesn't really matter. Do your personal growth training or whatever you got to do to get to the next rank. If you're in the Marine Corps right now, part of your the rank structure, if you're below an E5, You need to make sure you're doing pull-ups, you're doing your exercises, you make sure you're shooting right on the rifle range, because those performance reviews are what's going to, it's your personal action is going to get you promoted. Higher rank you go, they have different performance reviews. But if you're E5 and below, it's about your shooting, it's about your PT, it's about your education. So practice those things, make time for them. But like I said, what you fear, you empower. If you fear doing something, then you'll never do it, and you'll always work around it, because that will be what's dictating your decision. So don't let it dictate your decision. Yeah.
So don't let my husband walk in front of me. Because he'll be the one to encounter the snake first.
Yeah. 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 We can handle it.
That's right. That's right. So, all right. So, anybody out there in the chats, if you've got some questions for Richard, go ahead and put those out there now. What do you hope to accomplish for yourself, let's say in the next couple of years? Do you have any? Yeah.
And mine is still servitude. And I want to make sure, I would like to see nonprofits in general. It's not about creating a new nonprofit. There's tons of them out there. But let's find a round table for these nonprofits where we can sit down and communicate, see how we can help each other without taking means from someone else. It's just like doing a force multiplied training somewhere. You can have the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, and the Marines, and you all communicate and you all work together. So why can't we do it out here? And that's what I like to see. Because even at end of life, my wife and I have prepared and looked at things. We've been through some things that have caused us to, focus a little bit on what might happen in the future. So the same aspect is we want to make sure that these nonprofits and these groups that have been helping people can continue to help people. So
right.
That's my focus. Yeah.
Excellent. So Ron Wayne has a question, and that is, what was your most funniest moment from your service time? The best memory.
Oh, best memory. I would probably say killing that rat in Liberia. And the reason I say that is, if Whitehead watches this, he'll like it. That was our first confirmed kill. So that was So we were in Liberia and sitting inside the embassy, looking out the window and stuff. And of course, you have your 5-gallon bucket for your toilet and everything else, and you're sitting around, and here we are throwing knives at this rat, and we were running around. I got my first confirmed kill. And so everybody started laughing about it. And so Whitehead, during his retirement ceremony last year, I sent him a picture of 2 men walking with a little bitty mouse hung on a stick. And I said, that's us. That's our first confirmed kill. And so those little things like that was my funniest thing, because he and I, years later can still sit back and laugh at a environment that we were in that was hostile, that did take lives, that caused a lot of distress for a lot of people. And we can sit back and laugh at something that we did. So that would be my funniest memory. Thanks. Thanks for the memory.
Well, I wanted to thank you very much, Richard, for taking the time to join me tonight, have the conversation. We have several that were out here in the chats today, and everybody saying thank you very much for your service. Let's see. What do we have? Frank DeMith. When is the Marine Corps going to become their own branch and quit running around under the water taxi service?
Look.
Oh, that's great.
I would tell you this. I hope they never do, because if somebody else can pay for my Uber, I'm good to go. I just wish they'd give us better equipment.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Jim JCL has a question, and he said, asked, with so many being disabled or partially disabled, medical for retirement purposes, is there something that should be done for PT, etc., to help alleviate that?
It depends on your disability. There are things that can be done. I would reach out to some of the there's companies out there that will help you with getting your rating and things like that for your disability rating. But for the physical therapy and different things like that, you really need to go to the VA, find out what the problem is, and then see if there's a local individual that can work on that problem. And if you have
Like a civilian doctor.
civilian doctor,
Mm-hmm.
let them document it, let them look at it, because then they're not looking at it from a military perspective. They're looking at it as a recovery.
Yeah. So he clarified and said, I mean, as far as what it causes it.
You're gonna hate to hear this, but ballet, yoga. If you want, if you really want to help with your joints, your stretching and stuff, I did. That's a whole different story. Later on, but the yoga and the stretching, if you can stretch your muscles and stretch your tendons and have them at their full capacity, that's one of the biggest things for injury is we're compact. We try to do little bitty exercises real fast and make our muscles real big, but we want to elongate them. That will help. From everybody that I've ever heard, if you do the exercises correctly into the fullness of that exercise, you can save yourself a lot of injury in the future.
Ah, that's great. And football players, a lot of them actually do that as well.
Yeah.
I think that's a great answer. And it reminds me of your comment earlier of tutu.
Yeah, tutu. Yeah. Like I said, it's a completely different story. We'll talk about that
later. All right. I don't see any other comments out there, but I do want to, again, say thank you very much for your service and your continuing service to those around you and for the veterans. Oh, wait, Jim has more clarification.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, I mean, getting disabled while in the military and not from being in combat, i.e. PT, etc., obstacle courses, yanking on your neck for sit-ups, etc.
Same thing. Do yoga, stretches. I know it sounds, it's like this. If you want to increase your PT, like your pull-ups, do handstands, then do handstand push-ups. I know but it's the opposite. It looks like it's not going to help, but you'll increase your pull-ups in that process. Stretching will get your muscles where they need to be, and it will help during the jarring, during the different obstacles. If you can stretch and it's not a tight. So I wish I knew that younger in life. So yeah.
Yeah, because I think that would help. All of that, the stretching of your tendons and muscles and such, will help you be more limber to avoid the injuries or a lot of them.
Yeah.
And
like I said, do the exercise to its fullness. When you do a pull-up, don't stop here and try to go back up. Do the pull-up and then come back and do it, a full pull-up. A lot of people just stop, about right here and just doing this, and so that tends to tear tendons, hurt other muscle joints. Do it to its fullness. Find out what it is, the exercise that you're trying to do, and do it to its fullness.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And let's see, just a quick message out there. JovaQ, I need you, if you would please, to email me. I'm going to drop my email address in the chats because I still have some of your winnings here from the last time. So we did a giveaway, and he is the last of them to send me his address. So let's see.
And if you wouldn't mind, if you could put the Bobby Ray Marine Corps League address in there.
Yes. Let's see. Hang on. Let me find that. Bobby Ray, R-A.
Why?
Marine Corps.
MCL. Just put MCL 1377 at Gmail.
Oh, okay. Let's see. It's the Bobby Ray. What?
MCL 1377.
No, not the email.
The Marine Corps League detachment.
Okay. So this what am I putting in here?
Just put the Bobby Ray Marine Corps League detachment in there. So people, if
Okay.
they want to reach out to it in the East Tennessee area,
Is there a website?
no, just an email.
Okay. All right. That's what I was. Okay. Bobbyray.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
13.
No, MCL1377 at Gmail.
All right. Bobby Ray, MCL1377 at gmail.com. And that is for the Marine Corps League.
Mm-hmm. For us here in McMinnville and surrounding counties. If you have any questions, we can lead you in the direction to find what you need.
Yes, excellent. Well, I'll be seeing a couple of you here in the next week to 2 weeks, yourself included, Richard. So,
Yep.
again, thank you all very much for joining tonight, and have a wonderful rest of the week coming up. We'll see you next Sunday.
Thanks for having me.
Richard, if you want to hang tight for me, we'll
Yes,
be
ma'am.
out in just a moment.